All right, Cardinals fans, welcome to another fantastic episode of the Red Rain podcast. This is episode 183. Please welcome in your host on a Victory Monday, Walter Mitchell.
Thank you, Kyle Little Rock Ledbetter, sporting his Arizona Diamondbacks hat today. The D-backs had a good weekend against our Boston Red Sox, so good for them. But I say our Boston Red Sox. I'm an Oakland A's fan, and Kyle knows that, and he works for them, so that's all perfect right now. But
hey, Red Sox in town tonight. I'm gonna go see them.
Oh, you are? Great. Exactly. Be interested to see how they handle Nick Kurtz. Whoa. But anyway, great to have everyone here on a Victory Monday. First one we've had after week one since 2021. We have our local guru, Swaro Sam, aka Sin 61, with us, so we're excited to get started. We're going to get right to the videos. Let's go, Kyle. Let's get right to the videos, and let's pinpoint what we're looking at in each case.
All right. So first off, here we have got a 7-0 game at this point, and we've got our first Kyler Murray drop off to Trey Benson, little completion there. It's going to be a little montage of the first scoring drive for the Cardinals. Big Marvin Harrison Jr. catch.
Yeah, that was sweet. Let's run that again.
This is the matchup.
Yep.
Here we have the one-on-one catch over
perfect pass, perfect route. Marv tracked the ball. He's so good at it. Felt good to get the monkey off the bat right away. Vince, what was your emotional reaction to this? I mean, Sam, excuse me.
That was Kyler's longest pass of the season, and his longest pass of the season surpassed his longest pass of last season. So
right off the bat, we'll take it.
Murray looking long to the far side of the field.
So in the opening game, he's thrown a longer pass than he threw last year. Longer completion.
Yeah, and the timing of it was early enough where, hey, great, let's get this thing rolling. What was evident to me at the beginning of the game is how difficult it was to get off a clean snap. I know Kyler was under the weather. He was up since 4 a.m. vomiting. Somehow they got him settled out and ready to go to play. So good for him for gutting this out. But also, it just was the early pre-snap agita all over again, guys jumping off sides. It's just, it's just not clean, getting clean snaps of the football. I had to tweet that out immediately. But it settled down, like Kyler and his stomach settled down. And let's watch this classic.
Yeah, we fast forward on the drive here. 2nd and goal. Yep. Kyler takes the snap. 6-man rush. But Kyler stays there and hits Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison, touchdown, Cardinals.
So, watch Mike. Let's do it again and watch Michael Wilson.
So he had 8 touchdowns last year, and that is number one.
He and Marvin are going to cross. That's called a mesh. It's a staple of air raid football. So, I mean.
On 2nd and goal, Murray.
See that?
Left side.
And look at the defender bounced off.
Marvin Harrison, touchdown. It's the crowd here at the Dome.
Great play by Harrison here. I want him to fade. Yep. They run the man beater. The mesh route. This is designed for him.
Kool-Aid has to go over. For him to get involved. We saw
Marvin cuts under. On 2nd and goal, Murray. Left side. Pass complete.
Well executed.
Marvin Harrison, touchdown, Cardinals.
Perfect execution. And I like what Kyler
Oh, he had 8 touchdowns last year, and that is number 1, and it kind of quiets the crowd here at the Dome.
Notice how he backpedals a little bit. In this case, backpedaling to buy time is a good thing. Look at where his feet are now. See how he's taking a further drop back? You know it's a late developing play. It's not a bang play. You got to let it develop. So he takes a 3-step drop. And
left side pass complete.
Marvin's 9th touchdown in 18 games.
Good goal, Murray.
Look at the protection there. Awesome.
We had a hard time doing that last season.
Oh, I thought last season that was their best. From this point on in the game, there were some difficulties, but I mean, PFF had him as 4th best pass blocking.
Left side pass complete. Marvin Harrison.
Great way to start comeback, and plus this was a 64-yard, 7-play drive to answer the early touchdown that the Saints had. In fact, let's go to that play, the Kamara touchdown, which preceded this drive.
Let me
this
see.
This one's a really curious play that I as a preview, I broke it down on Twitter. So I'm ready to roll on this one, having looked at it several times from different angles.
Searching for it right now. Give me a second here.
Alvin Kamara, TD run. So anyway, let me just set it up. It's a 2nd and 2 in the red zone. Typically on 2nd and 2 in a red zone, you don't call a tech stunt, which is a tackle end exchange or twist, where in this case, Josh Sweat's gonna crash inside and let Calais Campbell loop around his outside. But in doing that, Calais abandons the middle where Alvin Kamara just, sees a huge hole. And Mac Wilson Sr. Gets stuck on the play inside. He should be favoring.
On the red zone, it makes life easier when he gives it to Kamara, and he's into the end zone.
All right, so look at this. See how Sweat's going inside. Calais is going to round around him.
You're inside the red zone. It makes life easier.
That's for a passing play. Look at how that opens up the middle for the hole for Kamara. Now, I don't know why in the world Mac Wilson Sr. is allowing
it makes life easier when he gives it to Kamara, and he's into the end zone.
And wouldn't be favoring where the hole is, knowing that there's a tech stunt to that side. You have to already be favoring it because you know the play is going to abandon the middle. Now, Rabbit's running the alley because he sees the hole there, and he's coming to the hole himself. But Kamara does a great job bouncing outside, and there's the mistake that Melton makes of getting caught. Once they run a tech stunt,
makes life easier when he gives it
has contained. So once you checks out those guys, there's no way you can expect Calais to have contained coming from his defensive tackle spot. So the next outside guy has contained.
So it makes life easier when he gives it to Kamara, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Saints. Rattler was 8 of 12 last year inside the red zone. It makes life easier when he gives it to Kamara, and he's into the end zone.
And look at
touchdown, Saints. Rattler was 8 of 12 last year inside the red zone. It makes life easier when he gives it to Kamara.
He does his utmost best to try to make a play while protecting the alley, while storming the alley. That's really impressive on his part. What's not impressive is Sweat. This is just really poor effort on his part. Watch this. Just gives up on the play.
Yeah.
That really pisses me off. You're going to pay you all this money and you're not going to chase down a play. You never, ever quit on a play. Ever. You play whistle to whistle because you never know. The ball could come flying out. He could come. Kamara could try to cut back again. You want ballers who are going to chase all day long, and that's really disappointing. And for me, Sweat's game was a disappointment. And I know he's getting props for four pressures, but he really wasn't a dynamic force in this game. So, and I don't know what's going on with him, but he didn't look like he was ready to play to me. Sam, what's your reaction to this?
Yeah, I was disappointed with his play, and I was actually disappointed with the interior defensive line's play. But we did hold them to 13 points.
Yes.
And I don't think they hit 100 yards rushing. So overall, it was a pretty good effort.
It really was. And from that standpoint,
I was also disappointed with the obscurity, shall we say, of Darius Robinson.
Oh my goodness.
Jeez. How long are we going to have to wait?
I know. When we get to the PFF grades, it certainly is reflected there. And, it was like a not
I figured he'd come out. I figured he'd come out after sitting out last season, being the player we've been told he is, that he'd come out there with his hair on fire.
Yeah, no show, unfortunately.
No show is right.
Yeah. Well, credit to Saints' big, powerful first-round offensive line too. I mean, I knew going into this game we're gonna have trouble with that line. And they were without Talise Fuaga, unfortunately for them, because he's a stud, and the other Penning, who's going to play left guard for them. So they were at minus 2 other players, but they still have a really good. McCoy's a great center. Ruiz is one of the better guards in the NFL. Kelvin Banks is their first round pick from Texas. He's a stud in the making. So. It was going to be a struggle up front. What was too bad is we weren't getting any inside pressure on the quarterback. And the outside edges were getting around the corner, but too wide. And unlike our quarterback, this quarterback stepped up and threw into the pocket, and he made a pocket. But he had a pocket because we didn't get through the middle often enough and get in his face often enough. So let's go to the Benson run. Let's counter their run with our run. This is really a curious play.
All right. So this is
now
the down and distance here. So this is first and this is 2nd and 11 from the 18-yard line.
And we have a fullback. We're in an I formation. Now, what a throwback. I mean, I think that goes back to Sam in my days. Well, we also had the wing T.
That's right.
But and the wishbone. But this is a I formation with Higgy Bear. It looks like Higgy Bear just sort of runs and falls into a block. That's not a good look for Higgy Bear. But at least, it helps. He makes that block, which now helps us get break contain, and no one's coming from the Saints. They got trapped inside like we did on the Kamara play, and now it's off to the races for Benson.
Yeah, just looking at it right here. So just in this shot, you've got running back who's gotten outside, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Saints all behind the ball, and the running back's gotten to the outside, which is kind of
look
the
at
thing you
the
try
play.
to avoid on these toss plays.
Right. Our guy Sweat dogged it and quit on the play. Look at the play that Granderson makes from his end position. Or right there, comes back into the play to make the unbelievable. Granderson's coming from the opposite end. Now, the good news about this is that our guru, Sam, was pleading to Benson to show him something last week. And I guess, right, Sam? I mean, does this show you something?
He showed me something on this run for sure. He drives me crazy with all the movement and juking and
Right.
dancing behind the line of scrimmage, but
Right.
he hit this beautifully.
Right.
And we need him. We need him to do this so we can keep Connor pretty fresh.
Correct. He's got jets, Benson.
Oh, there's no question. He just dances so much behind the line of scrimmage. It makes me nuts.
He did in the second half. And,
yeah, hit the ball, get the ball and go.
Exactly. Hit the crease and be gone.
And I'll tell you, James Conner's telling him the same thing.
Certainly. Yeah. So not much from Connor this game, although he had the one nice get out of my face stiff arm on a defender. Yeah. There we go.
Boom.
The flag is in. He's out of bounds.
Laid him out.
Motion, they give it to Connor. Connor.
People are criticizing Adams, Isaiah Adams, but look the way
flag is in. He's out of bounds. It's a motion. They
74.
give it to Connor. The stiff arm of flag is in.
Right, he's blocking on this play. Good pull, good athletic pull.
They give it
finds his man and locks him up. They're stringing it out.
Connor.
So that Connor can get the
point. The flag is in. He's out of bounds. It's in motion. They give it to Connor. Connor.
You're going to get good grades for the end of the week and some love during the film session for pulling around the guard like that. Great job by offensive line. It's too bad it didn't turn into a bigger run, but still well done.
Correct. And this is a tie game now, so yeah. All right, now let's go to the go-ahead touchdown on the shovel pass. This is a beauty. Perfectly designed. Love how they had it. Kyler scoop it instead of push it. Like he's bowling in there. It was just perfectly set up, perfectly executed. They had, and good thing from Petzing too is he had off the shotgun snap, Kyler moving to his right to looks like a run pass option that's going to worry their defense and distract their defense to the outside. And then Kyler bowls it back inside. Beautifully to perfection.
That works.
Yep.
Yeah, take me a second to pull it up here, but we're looking for it.
Okay.
We're effing
now
to
people
see if we can get
criticize Petzing for being vanilla and all that. I don't get it. This is hardly vanilla. It's a clutch call at a clutch time. I don't take any of these plays for granted. It's a creative call. His mesh play earlier was perfectly executed. There were 3 touchdowns in this game, and this was the third one. And wound up being a game winner when you win by 7. So there goes McBride to the right. Everybody's looking at McBride. Right? Then Connor is the fake, and Kyler draws the attention outside. The offensive line hold up really well on their blocks. Even get a head start there by who is that? Froholt. Okay. Or no, I think that's that's Evan Brown.
Yeah, 63 kind of gets out here.
Correct.
And then you've
As a lead
got
blocker.
So you've
Even
got
better.
Adams and Brown both basically at the end zone before Connor even gets the ball. So you've got a couple lead blockers there.
Right. Really splendid play. I was loving that. That's just good football, right there.
Yep.
And look at how wide open James was, and he just smelled the goal line like he always does.
The way you know it's a great play too also is that he could have thrown it to McBride, he could have thrown it to Connor, and it would have been a touchdown either way.
Yeah.
Good point.
Great play.
And there is an option there to do that, particularly if James had gotten tackled, which on a play action play, there's always the chance of that. But I think they've kind of felt like, they were giving away the RPO, and so the Connor wasn't going to be tackled. So anyway, and interestingly, earlier in the game, I thought every time the Petsing called a play action pass, bootlegs and everything, the Saints had a defender right in Kyler's face and spoiled all those plays. So I tweeted out, look, just don't run the play actions. Just play the plays straight up, because Brandon Staley, who was in our division coaching for a while with the Rams, he knows what he's doing.
Yep.
He was ready for the Cardinals bootlegs and waggles. It wasn't there, but you're giving up a lot when you do that. You're sending a guy and you're leaving a hole. So, I thought exploit them straight up without the bootleg waggle options that Staley was covering. So, and I think they did. I think Petsing did a good job on that. All right. So now let's go to the Will Johnson plays, impact play.
Talking about the hit.
The hit.
See, I'm smiling.
Oh man, that was. And look at the picture perfect shoulder hit. I mean,
it had to have been. They'd have.
Correct.
I'm sure they're going to call a penalty just because of the violence.
It happened so fast that
it
could have been easily a penalty thrown. But even if it went under review, upon further review, there was nothing illegal about the hit.
Nothing illegal. It was just a good hard football hit.
What concerned me was that the Cardinals didn't play this like a fumble, because that ball is caught. And there's a question of whether it's a lateral. So again, the Cardinals, I think they were just so excited to see the big hit. Yeah. But you got to finish that play out, take it into the end zone.
No question.
You did it, and he did. Williams did smartly. But I was surprised we didn't challenge that play then. But here's what's special about Johnson is, and this shows up on his Michigan tape. Look how quickly he reads his play. His eyes are always in the right place, it seems. And then once he reads, he's like an attack dog. He's so quick to the ball. He's like having Budda Baker, up front there. Just the second Budda sees it's a handoff, he's running the alley like a madman. This kid gets off his butt and reacts so fast. It just happens so quickly. Put it this way: with a guy as fast as Olave, if he's halfway hesitates, Olave's going to catch and go for a long run. And then we get this guy. which Budda said that Will in practice Rallis went over that exact same play and gave Will that instruction, and that Will played it perfectly. That, unfortunately, everyone's saying the Cardinals got robbed. That is a penalty.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. And there was no need to hook Brandon Cooks there, or no, to hook it's the other Olave there by Melton.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Ryan Logan, who was the color guy, I thought he was great. A former, cornerback for the Patriots and the Titans. He said there's two-way cornerbacks play. They're either patient or they panic. And he said this like just moments earlier. And this is the epitome of both. I mean, you had Johnson with the patience on the one side, and you had Melton with the panic on the other. It's too bad, but when we get to the Budda breakup, I've got something to tell everyone, which is really exciting, and unbelievably exciting about the prospects of this team. So let's go there. Let's go to the Budda breakup at the end. I mean, I'm sitting there the whole time. Why are the Cardinals torturing us like this? It happens over and over and over again that they just don't, they like sit on these narrow leads and play ultra conservative football. And it just makes you so. This was reminding me of watch this. And so does Rabbit tries to get in that area. And as the ball's going to the turf, Budda knocks it out. Unbelievable play.
Yeah.
I was watching that live, and I couldn't believe that they even got a clean look at the end zone like that. But
that's the other thing.
Just knocking it out.
Right.
People go different ways on these types of plays. Some say you should blitz so that way you get pressure before the quarterback even has time. But in this day and age, we see it with Mahomes, and even Sam Darnold was doing it yesterday. It's like these guys just buy time, roll to their right, and can beat the blitz. But the answer is not dropping 4 back in coverage like that and just kind of giving one-on-one free reign to the end zone, because big players like that can just go up and catch plays like that. I know Budda broke it up, but one-on-one you've got an undersized guy one-on-one with a tight end. No matter how many safeties you're putting back there, that tight end is going to be able to at least get a look at it.
That's a good.
I was surprised he didn't go to Juwan Jackson for that. And I don't know where he is on the play, but he heard them all game.
That's him, isn't it? Juwan Johnson. I think it's Juwan Johnson.
And he knocks it right. Yeah, Johnson knocks it right out of his hand. So it was no surprise they went to him.
Right.
But this defense relies on that 3-cover, 4-cover backfield, and the defensive line wasn't getting the job done all day. So I can see where they would err. And in this case, they didn't err. They went with what they know and what they do best, and it worked out.
It did. But like Kyle said, I mean, there are two philosophies here.
For sure.
And here's my thing: is the problem is with Rallis is he's great at dialing up pressures. The problem is he still thinks he can zone them in coverage. And the exact same. This is why it reminded me of the Vikings game again from last year. That was so agonizing. We had this. We had the rhythm and offense going in the first half, and then this conservatism just takes over where you're just letting the other team go down, like they said, in paper cuts, go down left and right with, in this case, Spencer Rattler, I have respect for him, but we made it so much easier on a quarterback like Spencer Rattler, who called this a shell fest, which is what it was. And in a shell, you're going to get you can get the ball out quickly if you're not manning up quick enough, and which we saw was happening a lot. But here's the thing: is that so they had a third down like they had in the Vikings game, and if people recall, Rouse walked up an A blitz special, put two guys in the A gap on the play of the 4th and 7 to Jefferson with the game on the line. If the Cardinals stop that play, they win in Minnesota. Maybe it's a hold. Maybe they make the playoffs after that. But on a play of that magnitude, he calls a great blitz. And then he runs a zone defense behind it where nobody covers Justin Jefferson. When he walks out 7 yards, turns around and catches a wide open pass. And the same thing happened yesterday. The same exact thing. I bet, knowing Kellen Moore and how, and Brandon Staley, I bet they had prepared Spencer Rattler for that. They said, look, when they run these exotic blitz in the A gaps, we've got the slot receiver on a stop route. He's just going to go down 7 yards, turn around. You can pass it to him. He won't be covered. And he wasn't again. And here's the last thing about that is that if you run exotic blitzes and you play man behind it, how long do you have to cover? 2 seconds, 3 seconds, right? The pressure is going to be enormous right up the middle. You're getting pressure. The ball's coming out fast. So why not man it and keep one safety who just locks eyes with the quarterback and be aggressive on this and try to get the ball, back in the hands of your offense. This is my thing about this ultra-conservative defense of just letting him go down the field. My question to you, Sam, and to Kyle, not only does this take, all this time off the clock and you're letting teams stay in the game, the crowd is into it, they think they have a chance, you have an average quarterback playing suddenly in a rhythm, he's getting his mojo going. That pass to Juwan Johnson was a money ball.
Oh, yeah.
But he, at that point in the game, Rattler didn't have a care in the world. He wasn't getting pressured. There was no pressure up the middle. And the one time the Cardinals tried to generate it, he had a stop route for 7 yards dialed up and ready to go and converted it and backed them off. But here's my question to both of you. So philosophically, if you're going to have your defense just try to take air out of the balloon all second half, what does that do for your offense?
Yeah,
Well,
in this. Well, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Yeah, in this game, it's strange because when you have a 10-point lead in this NFL, matchups, depending on whether the team is a time, there's quote unquote time of possession teams. And then there's teams where they're really trying to score kind of situation. I think of Shanahan. He said the most important statistic at the end of an NFL game is time of possession, right? And so if one of these teams is obsessed with time of possession, then I understand the idea of sitting on the ball because their offense is predicated on long drives, running, screen passes, things like that. But when you're playing a team like the Saints, where the Saints are trying to or have the ability to move the ball down the field, just dropping back and sitting is not great because you're essentially saying, okay, we'll give up 40 yards as long as we hold you to a field goal, but then your red zone defense isn't strong enough once you get down there. And so that's kind of the back and forth on it. I can't remember who it was this weekend that was playing. I think it was the Chargers or the Eagles. I can't remember which game it was, but they were talking about like last year they had the best red zone percentage defensively in the league. And that's a team where I would say, okay, you're fine when you have a 14-point lead, dropping back into coverage, allowing them to run clock, intermediate stuff. But for a team like the Cardinals, specifically against a team like the Saints, where you have Olave and you have Shaheed and you have these deep threat type of receivers, you know, you can have as good of safeties as you want, but it's really not a good strategy. I mean, not the Chargers, the 49ers ran into the problem this weekend where all of a sudden they're sitting on the lead and then Darnold completes a 40-yard pass down the field and all of a sudden the Seahawks are right back in the game. So it's a really, I wouldn't recommend it unless you know you have a really good red zone defense, and that's hard to know coming into the season in week 1.
Well, the Cardinals did have a good. That was their one strength last year. They did all this bend, but then their red zone TD percentage was in the top 10 of the league. So they did that well, and that's part of Gannon's strategy. But Sam,
it's hard on
you're
the
an offensive player, and you're sitting there in the second half, clinging to a lead. You had momentum and rhythm in the first half, and now you're sitting there for 15 minutes a chunk. What are you thinking?
Well, it puts too much pressure on the offense, throws them off their rhythm. It just becomes a clock watch game, and it impacts the play calling. And we saw that in the second half. I mean, we just saw it in the second half. The team, I mean, they were really lucky when they were down at the goal line to move that ball out to the center field. Because otherwise, as good as Gil can punt, they would not have flipped the field like they did. And it probably would have scored on them faster, or at least got a field goal and then scored a touchdown. And when your defense doesn't get off the field and you play prevent, time of possession gets haywire and you have no cohesiveness. I mean, I think that's one reason why the offensive line, even though they improved over the game, you couldn't get the running game going at all at halftime.
No.
I mean, you score 17 points in the first half and you score 3 in the second half.
Correct.
And the defense being on the field that long a time, that created that's part of the problem.
Yeah, fourth quarter, Saints had 104 yards. The Cardinals had 38, and 1 first down the whole quarter.
Yeah, they were never in the red zone in the second half.
No, and Kyler was a different Kyler.
Yes. He's second half Kyler.
He had McBride open, missed him. It could have been Marv for the races on that pass over the middle.
Over his head.
And overcooked it. It wasn't the same Kyler in the first half, the second half. Now, my question is part of that because in the second half, you get ultra conservative, but Saints have the ball a lot. Kyler's sitting over. He's been sick all night. He's been sitting over on the bench. He finally gets back in the game. He had a rhythm going early on. Now he's kind of in no man's land trying to get back that rhythm, and it's frustrating, and he's not getting it, and we're not running the ball. You know, it's just a recipe for just giving the ball back, which you don't want to do. But then you give the ball back, and again, it's a long drive, time-consuming. It's hard. Here's what I wished would have happened at halftime was that, okay, Saints get the ball. We want to come after him. We want to get him off the field ASAP. We're just really going to come after him. And, you know, we're going to double team their deep threat, so we're not worried about that, you know, or whatever. We're going to cover for that with a double team, but we're going to dog them man-to-man, and we're really going to get after them, particularly on third downs. We're going to rush up the middle. We're going to have a man cover behind. Let's get them off the field. And let's, you know, Kyler, you're having a great game. We're now in rhythm. This is the kind of rhythm we've been hoping for this season. Let's continue to build off of what, you know, let's play this hungry. Let's play this like this could be a really tremendous, this could be like the Rams game last year where we dropped 40. Let's get really hungry on this. Instead, it's just not there. And or that mentality is not there, the hunger, the urgency, whatever it takes. But I think that, it's great to, on the one hand, Kyle makes a great point because they're so scared of the deep guys getting over the top because that's their biggest worry. That's why they play the shell, on the back. And they
Gannon said it a bunch of times this week. He
did. And it made me nervous. I knew right then that Spencer, if Spencer Rattler was going to have a game, under those circumstances, I think it made it easier for him to have a game. Not for throwing the deep ball. Unfortunately, the one he threw was an interception because the Cardinals were ready for that. So in terms of that, Gannon got what he wanted out of this game. That's, it worked. And here's the question that I asked on Twitter after the game is that, I put it like this. I'll just read it verbatim. I was really happy with what I was really relieved. I was like, why am I so, nervous? And so what I just said was that, so Gannon's ultra-conservative approach won today. But it's like slowly sucking the air out of a balloon. And it keeps every team, crowd, and average quarterback close enough to win in the fourth quarter. More on Red Rain tomorrow afternoon. Well, here we are. Red Rain tomorrow afternoon. And, that's my huge question for this week. Is this a formula that's going to get you to the playoffs? Or don't you have to be more aggressive? Can you be like passive aggressive like this and still win consistently? I mean,
isn't that a question for both coordinators?
Yeah, well, it's for the head coach. He's the one calling the shots here.
No question, but isn't it both the offense and the defense getting too conservative? Isn't that the issue?
Absolutely, but I think that that's one of the reasons why I think Gannon hired young coordinators he could control.
Oh,
because I think he's a control freak.
Most coaches, are.
This is why he wanted the big running game, to be able to have long drives. But then he also was trying to set up this shell game of an offense of a bend, don't break. And, I don't know. There's something about this that makes me feel like it's not aggressive enough.
I think part.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think part of it too is that you're playing the Saints, who everyone regards as one of the worst teams in football too. I don't know how this works against a team that is stronger on offense, because most people don't believe, they think the Cardinals defense is better, but I don't see a lot of people who are saying this is a top 5 defense in the NFL going into this season. It's not like that at this point.
No,
but
not after one
game. This probably beats the Panthers, but not other teams of the Panthers and Saints caliber.
Well, here's what we have to look forward to. We have to look forward to the defensive line being able to put pressure on the quarterback. Yes. We didn't see that this week. Yep. And partly because, like Walter says, their offensive line is terrific. So the coaches probably saw that right away and said, we don't have the horses to do this. So we're going to have to, because let's face it, the only way we've been able to generate any kind of pass rush pressure or successful blitzing, is exotic stuff using Budda.
Right.
So we needed Budda in the backfield this week.
Correct.
So maybe over the course of the season, we're going to see an improving defensive line, and maybe they can get more aggressive that way.
Correct. That's going to be huge. But then again, when you have the aggressive defensive line, it opens up the opportunities you have to play sticky man so you can get your hands on a football.
Yeah.
And I'm going to end the show with a talking about that, because there's something special that happened yesterday that, in retrospect, I mean, this was a good win for that style of play. If you had the expectations that, okay, we're going to let the Saints take it down to the wire, but we're going to win it anyway. My feeling going into the game was if you let the Saints try to take it down to the wire, it could end up like Minnesota last year. And I was so worried about that, and it didn't. All right, so the win's the win, and I'm celebrating it big time. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I saw missed opportunities there, and I just saw passiveness and a willingness to just let them get what they want and then try to close them out at the end. It worked. But I think did it work against Bryce Young last year?
Oh, boy.
It didn't. Bryce Young had a field day throwing against soft shell.
And Bryce Young is showing up next week. Right.
I mean, Jacksonville got after him big time. And we'll talk about them at the end. But before we do that, I want to go to our guys who responded to this morning's blog about the offensive and defensive lines. And I want to have Kyle read what our guys said, and I want Sam to respond. I'll read this point, Kyle. However, from there down to the fourth quarter yards.
So, however, one of the most disappointing outcomes of the contest was the fact the Saints dominated both lines of scrimmage, especially in the passing game. Cases in point: first downs, New Orleans 21, Arizona 19. Total plays, New Orleans 69, Arizona 61. Total yards, New Orleans 315, Arizona 276. Passing yards, Saints 208, Arizona Cardinals 130. Tackles for loss, Saints 7, Cardinals 3. Sacks, New Orleans 5, Arizona 1. QB hits, New Orleans 5, Arizona 2. While the Cardinals outrushed the Saints 146-107, largely due to Trey Benson's 52-yard run early in the third quarter, which set up the only 3 points they would score in the half. In the second half, the Saints outgained the Cardinals 175-112. Other than Benson's rush, the Cardinals only managed to gain 60 yards over the final 26 minutes and 45 seconds of the game. And the total fourth quarter yards, Saints at 102, Arizona at 38.
And finish it off with that next paragraph.
If Budda Baker wasn't able to punch the ball out of Saints tight end Juwan Johnson's hands, the Saints could have either gone for 2 points to try to win the game right then and there, or they could have sent the game into overtime with the momentum clearly on their side. Whew. Yes. You want to say it? You do it better than me. Give me the whew. Whew. There we go. Yeah.
I'm saying to myself, damn you, Cardinals. You're making me this nervous like this? I mean,
you brought up a great point there with the Trey Benson, too, which is something that I do usually when I'm looking through box scores and stats, which is remove the biggest run and remove the smallest run of the game. And that kind of gives you a better average of how good your running game was.
Right. Well, that 52-yard gain was matched by a grand total of 60 yards the rest of the game, almost for an entire half. This is unacceptable. I just can't, it can't. And last year's team would have pounded the rock. So at least you get that going. But we couldn't get any of that. Let's go to Red Run. What did he have to say?
Red Run says, observations of the game. Number 1, overall lack of energy and sense of urgency, both offense and defensively. Number 2, offensive play calling still stuck in the mud, although I was happy to see a couple mesh rub plays in the passing game. Game plan was to run the ball outside Benson's 50-yard run. The Cardinals' running game was inept. With running game in doldrums, we turned to short passing game, which, again, outside the one big play, looked like it was ineffective. Number 3, defense. You can no longer say it's a lack of personnel. Our defensive line looked gassed, out of shape, and sucking wind. Our DBs held up better than expected, but this was against Rattler, the same guy who had more interceptions than wins in his career. Though I'm sick of zone defense. We couldn't get pressure on quarterback. Preseason is to get your guys in shape. There's no excuse why Rallis's play calling couldn't get more pressure. I still think DTD, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, would have stopped a few plays JT allowed in the game. So I started questioning Jalen Thompson over Dorian Thompson-Robinson, something I said in the preseason.
Right, Dorian Taylor-Demers. Let's just
sorry,
call
I said DTR, Dorian Taylor.
You had like 3 presidents in there: Franklin Delano, Kennedy.
I see DTD, and I just think it's DTR for the quarterback.
Exactly.
Adrian Taylor Demerson, not Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Let's hear Sam's response to Red Run, our good pal Red Run.
Well, he always comes up with some good salvos. And I think you have to tell him, and you have to tell the previous commenter, we still won the game. 20 points was pretty much average. It was just 4 points less than average of the league scoring. And in fact, we scored more than the Rams and the Niners yesterday.
And Seahawks.
I mean, 6 winning teams scored 20 points or less.
Yeah.
So look at the way we played in the second half was anemic, from the play calling to the effort to the blocking. The run game was there. Half the runs in the second half, the running back was hit behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
So, and it's really disappointing because we have a new offensive line coach who replaced a really good offensive line coach. So that's concerning. And neither guard played well. And 5 sacks is unacceptable. Kyler was sacked more than any of his division rivals yesterday. Right. And, the Saints have a good pass rush. They don't have a great pass rush.
Right.
So,
they're missing Chase Young.
Yeah, that's right. So the worst was when they were on a roll in the fourth quarter, and they got a 15-yard loss because they just came and pinned their noses back and stopped that drive, and we had to kick the football.
Yep. And Kyler could have escaped up the middle, but his instincts always seem to take him back.
Spin move. He takes that spin move.
It's not. It needs to be amended.
Everybody's seen it, Kyler.
Right. In that situation, you got to be a Jalen Hurts. Hurts takes that ball right through the middle.
Yeah.
And tries to bust it. So let's hear what Flash has to say.
All right. Our guy Flash says, I thought defensive line looked like a first team that didn't have any preseason playing time. By the second half, they were gassed. Josh Sweat had little to no impact. Secondary balked out. The hit on Olave by Will Johnson was just as good as the pick six, as a pick six. Offense looked okay, but line was a work in progress. Take the win, but need to get better on both sides of the ball.
Sam, Flash well. What do you want to say to him?
Well, hang in there, buddy. Hang in there, buddy. I would be surprised if we didn't see some real improvement with the defensive line even next game. And we're going to have it. Otherwise, Budda's going to have to be our sack master, and we need him in the backfield to make plays like he did to save that win.
Right.
And I want to see that second quarter playbook. And I want to see it throughout the game.
Right.
I mean, that was a fun offense for one quarter.
Right.
And why we didn't sustain that? Well, one of the reasons, and you're absolutely right, Walt, when you're sitting on the sideline and you're watching a football game, you get out of rhythm, you get anemic, and that's what we did in the second half.
You're freezing out your own offense. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, you're freezing out
a kicker. Why do you call 3 timeouts? Time is elapsing. You get a little more agita. With our quarterback, let's get the ball back in his hands in decent time so we can get in a rhythm, as we did in the first half. That's my thing. Burberry is, an iconic. Oh man, I love this guy. What does he say there? What does he say there, Kyler?
Well, his thoughts on the game. Yeah. Kyler continues his tragic second half and fourth quarters. 2 TDs versus 7 interceptions in his last 18 games. It's not going to cut it in a league where guys like Josh Allen put up 3 touchdowns, not to mention 251 yards in yesterday's fourth quarter, exceeding Murray's output over the last 18.
Wow, what a great point. Sam, you and Burr go way back.
Here you go. Burberry hits it right on the nail, right on the head.
Yep.
Just. I mean, who could argue with those facts? We were blessed to play the Saints yesterday in our opener.
Right. I'm just gonna put one caveat on that and just say, coaches help Kyler out better. I mean, I think Kyler, whether he was, frustrated or not, he shouldn't have been so off target in the second half. But whatever it is, get this thing straightened out so your quarterback can get in rhythm the whole game. And the offense can get in sync the whole game. And it doesn't take a quarter to get off a clean snap. Let's just get this all coordinated and going. And because we need Kyler on the money and in rhythm as often as we can in games to win games. And this is proof. It's got to be like the finishing. Let's finish off with Kyler. I tell you what, if he finishes off games in fourth quarters well, maybe that translates to the whole season, which is what he needs to do, is finish out. And the team needs to do it. The finishing. I love Drew Petzing. He says, play fast and finish. These are our 2 things we want to do and accomplish this year. So, Fitz fan 11, we go way back with him. Go ahead.
He says they did not try to win and played not to lose. Safe everything except for the Marvin Harrison bomb. I guess winning is the most important thing, but I would like to see more aggression on both sides of the ball.
Well, especially when he's only throwing the ball to two players plus his running back out of the backfield.
Yeah.
I mean, Wilson did nothing. Who is Zay Jones still on this team?
He had a catch.
Like did he?
Wow. George had no targets.
Yeah, George looked good on special teams too, didn't he?
George did a great job. He had one of our highest PFF grades.
Yeah.
In fact, let's go to the PFF grades right now. Let's check it out. I had him break them down into sections. So the first is our best players of the day. We need to raise that to the
let's go to the best players, the 70 to 90 club, which is very good to elite. Who's in the club today, Walter? We've got Will Johnson coming in at a 90.2. The team leader for the week by a good amount, by the way. The only person really in the 80s for the whole team, and he scored a 90.2. So how about that? Heck of an NFL debut for the rookie.
Right. Especially after the preseason he had.
Right.
He didn't have the best preseason. I was plenty nervous.
But, man, the guy's a gamer, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
This is one game.
Player.
We can't crown his ass. That's like you say. But we can get really excited about this kid's instincts. He's going to make some mistakes still. He's going to be a rookie at times. But, man, he played like a savvy veteran yesterday. And
like a Budda Baker savvy veteran.
Yeah. And Budda's having Will sit right next to him during these meetings. And I love Budda's leadership. He's just awesome. He's got this thing under control. And Budda was pissed after the game. He felt like Will Johnson did his job, but the rest of us have got to get back to work because this is not what we intended. So
he said that's the worst we're ever going to play this season because it's week 1.
Right. Hopefully that's yes. And I think the line has got to kick in to accomplish this too, just as you said. But go ahead, run down this list quickly.
All right, so we've got the Rabbit coming in at 80.4, second on the team. You guys just mentioned him, Greg Dortch, the Dorcher Chamber, 79.7 on the special teams side. How about this? We were talking about need for inside linebacker. ADG coming through 78.0. Big time performance for him this week. Then we've got Budda 75.4, Sweat at 74.5. LJ Collier coming in at 73.5. I don't know how many snaps he actually played in total, but good on him for 73.5. MHJ 72.3. Zaven coming in at 72.3. We got our guy ADG again on special teams, specifically coming in at a 72. So big game for him. PJJ Paris Johnson leading the offensive linemen. Tough week, but still comes in 71.2. Birch comes in at a 70.2. Nice little debut for him. And then TiVo at 70, rounding out our elite club. Very good to elite club for the week for the Arizona Cardinals.
Notice 2 rookies on that. It's just awesome.
Yep.
And I think those 3 guys, Johnson, Rabbit, and Birch, should be on the field as much as possible. Johnson was not on the field for like 25 snaps. Same thing with Rabbit. They're just instinctive players that you want on the field as often as you can. And Birch is a stud waiting to happen. I mean, he's our version of so one of the best pass rushers in the game, who just got traded and signed for like gazillion dollars.
Parsons?
Yeah, Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
He looks the part to me. Although he's even thicker than Parsons, but he's got that crazy strength and burst. So yeah, let's go down to the next list. Let's each of us pick out a player you were hoping for better from. It's McBride, Milton, Collins, Froholt, Murray, Connor, Garrett Williams, Calais Campbell. Sam, pick out one player there you were hoping for better from.
Well, I'm always hoping for better from Kyler.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it begins and ends.
Right.
And he's just got to do better.
Right. Kyle?
I'm really disappointed just of this group with Garrett Williams. Not that he had a bad game necessarily, but, so much of the hope is that he was going to really solidify himself as a number 1 boundary corner this year.
Right.
And, again, it was a fine game. None of the corners really, I'm trying to think back here. I don't think we had any of the corners on the top of this group here in the elite club, but I'm hoping for a little bit more for Garrett Williams.
Yes.
Where's Melton on this list?
He's coming.
We can keep on.
Melton was there, 69.2.
Yep, right here.
69.2. He's right there knocking on the door.
Yeah, he was out of position early, but he had a pretty strong game.
He had a really good second half. He
continues to improve, and Johnson keeps playing the way he's playing. We can leave Williams in the slot.
Right. I agree. And then the subpar grades, Benson, Higgins, Browning. I was surprised at that. He had the 1 sack. So I was, Tomlinson, that was disappointing, but nose tackles tend not to get graded very high. I think he's trying to get into shape. Wilson just was not targeted, and he didn't block well, which is characteristic of him. Stills, this really shocks me. I thought he flashed better than any inside defensive player that we had. He had the 3 great penetrating stops in the game that I thought really were really timely. So I don't quite get that grade. This is my worry. I've said it from the beginning. I don't think this guy is a Mike and Mac Wilson Sr. I think he's a great blitzer. And so you can use him in that capacity. But, as we saw on the Kamara TD run. Now, Mac played pretty well in coverage in the second half. I was so encouraged by that. Well, look at that, a 635.9 run defense. It's just not going to cut it. And this is the thing about playing the mic. If you don't have the 10,000 hour rule like Malcolm Gladwell, it's really hard to put a guy who hasn't played the mic in that slot and have him be a slobber knocker downhill of the football, get to the football and make plays all day long like the mics need to do. And I don't know. It's just a stretch of epic proportions in an off season to think, all right, we're just going to slide Mac Wilson over like we did with Kaiser from Philly to Arizona. That didn't work out. So now we're going to put a brand new guy in there again. So unfortunately, Cody Simon got a concussion on special teams. So did Joey Blunt. That was unfortunate on the same play. Hopefully they'll be all right. They may have to take a week off. And if they do, I think we've got, we're going to need more of Owen Papo, and we're going to need Catrell Clark to come in on special teams for Greg Dortch. This was another curious thing for me, was keeping Denzel Burke over Elijah Jones. I don't get that. Burke also was not good on special teams, and Catrell Clark had the second highest special teams grade. So you're giving up special teams player. I didn't see Burke play in the game, but maybe he did. I don't think he did. But I don't get that. I mean, Elijah Jones is so talented, and he led the whole team in pass coverage, was in the 70s in preseason. So
he was terrific.
Yep. And then Raymond, disappointing. Your block ends. We'll get to the professor's take. Raymond really disappointing, although he had the nice catch. Zay Jones, invisible. Vokalek, that's disappointing to me. He's a much better blocker than that. I did see his pass blocking, though, was in like the 80s. So, or 70s. So that's good, but his run blocking wasn't great. Evan Brown, really disappointed. I was really surprised at that. Darius Robinson, like you said, Sam, PJ Mustapher had one pretty good play after that. I guess he didn't, do his part. And Isaiah Adams had a rough day, and that was surprising given his good show this preseason. So now let's see what the Professor Joe Comeau showed us. Look at this. Sam, you read these. PFF run blocking grades for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's too small on the screen. Kyle's going to have to do it. It's just too small.
Yeah. PJJ, 55.8. Evan Brown, 39.6. Froholt, 69.4. Attaboy. Isaiah Adams, 43.1. Jonah Williams, 40.2. Wow. And then I added Marvin Harrison, 60.1. Trey McBride, 45.6. Tip Raymond, 49.6. Higgy Bear, 62.4. Vokalek, 56.4. Wilson, 54.0. Zay Jones, 60.1. It's one game, but we've been wishing and hoping that new offensive line coach Justin Fry could pick up where Clayton Adams left off. Cowboys running blocking versus Philly in Clayton Adams' first game, which we know Philly has as good a defense as anyone in the league. Their tight ends were 89.9 and 66.0. Beebe, the center, was 71.1. Steele was 71.9. And the other two were a little below average. The rookie Booker, who's probably going to be a stud within a few games, and then Guyton, the young player from Oklahoma, which is 53.9. That's still considerably better run blocking than what we saw, and they played a superior defense. So the eye test from the get-go versus the Saints was the offensive line was not getting off the ball nearly as physically, quickly or aggressively as they did the past 2 years under Clayton Adams. Is it too soon to be concerned?
I'll say yes, but it is interesting that if you're looking at just the number, the lowest graded offensive lineman for the Cowboys comes in as the second highest graded offensive lineman for the Cardinals. And This is not your, I say grandfather's Dallas Cowboys, but this is not your nephew's Dallas Cowboys of 4 years ago where they had, 3 offensive linemen who would be either Hall of Famers or all pro, year after year between Martin and all those guys. So I'd say it's something to keep an eye on. I'm glad you pointed out these numbers because that is really interesting to see essentially the same unit from last year minus Will Hernandez for the Cardinals put up such poor run blocking grades.
Yeah. What do you think, Sam?
Javonte Williams was cut by the Broncos, picked up by the Cowboys. Javonte Williams last year averaged maybe 2 yards a rush. Yesterday, it was 5.8.
There you go.
It was behind that offensive line. Other than throw, those grades for that offensive line are an embarrassment to a new coach.
Right.
He has a lot to answer for. Do I think it's something to worry about? I'm worried about it today. If we have the same kind of numbers after the Panthers game, yeah, we got a lot to worry about because our running game and our offense, they're doomed.
Yeah, well, and then it doesn't feed into the Gannon, milk the clock.
Nope.
Let the other team possess the ball all second half. Trying to,
If you look at those numbers, and you apply them to the way we played in the second half, that tells the story right there.
Right.
You don't need to look at anything else on the field. You didn't even have to watch the game. If you look at those numbers, we had a bad, dismal, anemic second half.
Right. And you look at the defensive interior numbers, they're similar.
Oh, sure.
So, this is why, people said no big deal if they hire these guys straight out of college and, they don't need experience because they're really good. I think, there's a certain gravitas that wins in the NFL with assistant coaches. They either have it or they don't. Now, guys that come from college don't typically have the veterans going like, wow, this guy's really, that's a gravitas to, motivate me. Now, I think that both of these coaches were talented college coaches for sure. Will this translate? But to expect it to translate right away is like asking a rookie teacher to come in and suddenly be, one of the best teachers on the staff. On the faculty. It's just mind-boggling to me that with all the choices they would have had to get experienced guys, and why they didn't just throw a bag at Clayton Adams, who clearly was the most talented coach on the staff. All the coaches combined. His unit was kicking ass, and other units were struggling. Why they don't get proactive on that and make sure he's still with us? And people want to argue, oh, well, he had a better situation in Dallas. You make it before Dallas even picks up a phone.
That's right.
The Patriots did it with Dante Scarnecchia, and they held on to him. He was the best offensive line coach in the game, and they protected him. They made him assistant head coach and gave him a coordinator salary. In fact, a little more than a coordinator salary. So there are ways to do this.
Somebody ought to do a deep dive and see if the Cardinals have ever paid a position coach to stick around. I bet you that's a really short list.
All right, I'll take that as a homework assignment. That's a good one. Is that a rhetorical question?
Sort of. I think we know the answer.
I think we know the answer to that.
Yeah.
So
they keep one of Fitz's wide receiver coaches around or something. Maybe. I'm trying to think when there would have even been a situation where they're being poached like that, other than Todd Bowles, which,
I know.
That for a head coaching job, what are you going to do?
I know, exactly. So now here's how I want it. Here's the best news of all from yesterday's game was a while back, and Sam will attest this because I know he liked this article. For 3 years now, I've been creating what I call a pass defense barometer, where you take the number of times a defensive secondary gets their hands on the football. So you get a point for an interception per game, and you get a point for a pass breakup. The last 2 years, the Cardinals have been woefully bad at getting their hands on the football because of all the cushion, the soft zones. So yesterday was a breakthrough. I mean, this was amazing. I mean, I knew they were getting better at it. And they didn't throughout preseason, but they didn't play many guys in preseason that could have affected this. And they didn't really stay long with their, current secondary in preseason games. But yesterday we had 9 pass breakups, and we would have had 10 on the pass defense barometer scale if the interception had held out. And you know where that stood in the league yesterday? Second. And you know who had the most? Was one of the teams that had one of the worst last year too, was the Jacksonville Jaguars. They had 11. And who did they play? They played the Panthers, and they whooped on them. And they didn't give, Bryce Young the kind of time or the easy zone defenses to attack. They played him really well. They got to the football 11 times. In fact, they intercepted him twice, and they got 9 deflections. So they tied us for deflections. So after yesterday's games, the top 3 teams in what I call the PDB, the pass defense barometer, were 1, the Jaguars, 2, the Cardinals with 9, and 3, the Bengals with 8. And the Bengals won their tight game 17-16 over the Browns. So, man, and listen to this. When I did the stats last year, you know how many for the season the Cardinals had last year of deflections, interceptions combined? 35. It was number 31 in the NFL. Only one team, the Titans, were lower. We had 9 yesterday. That's a quarter in one game of what we had the entire season last year. So that is, for somebody to come out of this game is a huge positive. And we know these guys, and we know that Gannon and Rouse have been stressing, let's get our hands more on the football. Well, if we amp up this pass rush more and we get more sticky in coverage rather than these sometimes, kind of softest zones, because you can play it over the top with safeties and you can play sticky underneath. Man, we could be in for a special treat that we haven't seen in a while from a Cardinals defense. So this is the one stat coming out of this game for me really stood out. And I'll take it, boy. I'll take it because, and to think that they did it with only, Rattler getting sacked once. And he had limited pressures on him, and Rattler was getting the ball out fast, which most quarterbacks are going to do. And that's why, average quarterbacks tend to do well against these defenses because you're giving them open guys. Who are open early. But there are ways, like the Cardinals did in the second half, they started playing zone the back and man up the front. That was awesome. And they even kept one time a little zone guy in the middle to help out. Oh boy. So the possibilities there are really fortuitous and auspicious, and just wanted to save that nugget for the last.
Good nugget.
Yep. That's a nugget, boy. That's a nugget. We like our nuggies around here. So, parting shots. Kyle Little Rock, what do you got?
Well, we covered most of the ground here today. And then again, of course, it's a win for week 1. So, we take all of that with a grain of salt. But we were going through the PFF grades. And one of the things that I thought about when we were talking about, guys like Will Johnson and the Rabbit and guys like that is for however many years we've been doing this show, Walter, every time during draft season, I come on and talk about usually when they trade the early second round pick, when they traded like pick 34 or pick 35 and moved back. One of the things that I talked about is like the way to do a rebuild for any team is to get first round value at second round prices.
Correct.
That's what ends up separating these teams that go through the rebuilds and win 7 or 8 games on the other side from the teams that, look like the Lions, where they're in the NFC Championship game because they get Brian Branch in the second round and Sam Laporta at pick 34. And, for a couple of years now, it was looking a little shaky, but now between Will Johnson making his debut, Birch, the Rabbit, Dadrian Taylor Demerson, who I called Dorian Thompson Robinson earlier, but Dadrian Taylor Demerson, between those guys who are second, third, fourth round picks, at Garrett Williams even too. We weren't sure what Garrett Williams would look like. Max, has had good games so far, but of course Max was second rounder, picked ahead of some corners that looked better at first, but Max has played very well. You're starting to see those picks kind of stack up a little bit, and they're going to need star power, obviously, and I think the Cardinals have a good bit of that this year. They've obviously gone out and added Calais and Josh Sweat and guys like that, but that offense is littered with stars across the board. So every team needs star power, but the thing that usually separates the rebuilds that end in a coach and GM getting fired and rebuilds like the Detroit Lions are usually those guys. So it's very promising to see the Cardinals have kind of their version of those young guys that are performing really well, obviously on the rookie contracts, but to get production early is going to be a big deal. So that's kind of an overarching theme to keep paying attention to. And good signs to kick off to start the season for all those guys.
Good stuff, Lil Rock.
Yep. A lot to unpack there. A lot of good points. And, given star power, we need to see our stars playing with star power. That's Josh Sweat for number 1. And we need to see Darius Robinson step up and play. He's still a rookie. He needs to play like our 2 rookies, Birch and Johnson, did yesterday. Those are exciting players. Interesting stat is Kyler has never had a top 10 defense. In fact, the only defense Kyler's ever played with is a bottom tier and a middling defense. If this defense can come out and do the things that Walt is suggesting and keep improving and getting their hands on the football, our offense is going to get better, and this team is going to do better. And good thing we played Spencer Rattler. We've got another – we'll see how – I don't want to dismiss the Panthers quarterback, but he's a quarterback that our defense should be able to handle. And because we have to get ready for 2 tough division games.
Yes. Great point. And great to see you, man. Great to have you here.
Always.
Part of this Red Rain panel. So, yeah, I was happy to save that good nugget for last because a win is a win no matter what. And I was so nervous with this game. Both Sam and I had written before the game. We didn't know what the world to expect in New Orleans. And I was really worried about them being a sleeper because they have good talent on both sides of the ball. And they have really good coaches. And they're going to surprise some people this year if they get, if Rattler keeps improving or if Tyler Shuck, who played great at Louisville last year, and they bounce him in there at the right time. They've got some pieces there that can really work for them. So, and this is the thing in the NFL, you got to take everyone, and respect everyone, and know that on a given day they could whoop your butt, and they didn't. Started off real sloppy, got it together, got a flow. I had a great feeling at halftime, but of course I was still worried. And then the second half just got more and more nerve-wracking. The offense sputtered. And I was just like going, oh, my God, is this Minnesota all over again? And I thought Rattler was playing well, man. I thought he might against us, and he was making good, quick decisions and getting the ball out. But in the end, our guys prevailed, and it probably was a good test for our defense to get their hands on the football. And we did something that, I think if you go back to last season, we didn't have 9 deflections or pass breakups in like the first 5 games combined. So this is a telling thing. And let's not forget Will Johnson's interception that was unfortunately called back. So, this is really exciting that we have these young players and we've got guys who are ball hawks. And now if the offense can get itself going, really excited for Marv. He worked so hard in the offseason. He had a good game. The catches over the middle were good. He took a shot on one of those. He lowered his shoulder. I was so proud of him. Marv's coming to play, and, that's huge. So that's a huge bonus for us. And we want to see more of that. But Sam said it well. We don't want to be a two-horse, two-trick pony on the offense and the passing game. We need to involve other guys. And it's got to, spread the rock around a little bit and do it. It should open guys up big time when they're trying to double team Marv and McBride on the other side. McBride had a fine game. Boy, too bad we didn't connect with him better in the second half because he was open. And so we need more of that from him. So but anyway, we get the first little snowfall of confetti falling down in Nolens yesterday onto our Red Sea. So let's wow. I mean, this is a big home opener this week. May the red rain fall down on the Red Sea on Sunday against those pesky Panthers. Red rain.